Hello, my name is Leah. Apparently it's the end of September already, which is concerning. This year I've been trying a new method of planning out my goals, and that's breaking them down into quarterly segments. So we are here today again to discuss quarter 3 and what's coming forward in quarter 4. I seriously do not understand how it's this late into 2021 already. I feel like the year has flown by. Also, it hasn't, because the beginning of this year feels like forever ago. But also, like it just started? I don't know. But let's just jump right in. The first step, as always, is to review the goals that I set last semester? What? The first step is to review the goals that I set last quarter, kind of evaluate how I did, and then we'll use that information to see what we need to pivot going forward. Goal number 1 was to finish the book Story Genius and the work through that I was doing for that in order to prepare to draft Project Fire. I did finish Story Genius. I made a video about it if you want to go check it out. I will link it up here, whichever side that is. And then after that, of course, was to start drafting Project Fire. My goal was to write 20,000 words for Camp Nano in July. I did succeed at this. It was such a great feeling to finally get that Nano winner certificate. This is the first Nano that I've won. And for me, although 20,000 words doesn't seem like a lot, and I've definitely written more than that in one individual month, for me this win was less about celebrating reaching 20,000 words and more about celebrating making a goal that was realistic, achievable, but also still a little bit challenging. I did have a lot going on in July, so that 20,000 words was the perfect goal to set for myself, and I feel really good that I was able to kind of finally realize what sort of pace that I work at and use that information to set myself up for success and also, to challenge and stretch myself. My third goal was to complete the 2 editorial projects that I had booked for July. One of those clients just never got back to me, so I didn't end up working on that project, and then the other person pushed the project back, so I did not have any editorial work in July. The same thing happened in August. I had a second project booked for that person that didn't respond, so I didn't do that one either. I wasn't bothered by this. If this was my full-time income, I obviously would be, but my editorial work is kind of a side thing that I want to sort of enhance my main work, which is the writing of the books. And in between all of this, I actually decided to just pause my gigs because I did do a lot of editorial work in the beginning half of the summer, and that did contribute to what was setting me behind on some of my writing goals that I wanted to achieve this year. So I just decided to put a pause on that. I did actually have one previous client reach out to me with another project, so because they were a previous client, I just went ahead and took that gig for August. But that goal that I set in quarter 3, I guess kind of panned out, but also kind of not, because it wasn't really in my control, so I'm not considering that a failed goal either. Goal number 4 that I had was to write 30,000 words in Project Fire in the month of August. This one I did not reach. I actually only wrote 18,058 words throughout the entire month, which put me way behind my September 24th deadline that I gave myself. I didn't really realize until I sat down to actually evaluate quarter 3 that that's how little I had written in August. I think part of that was unexpected things coming up. I did add a couple other responsibilities onto my plate, but a lot of that just simply was bad time management on my part, so I will take the L for goal number 4 not happening. But unfortunately, because goal number 4 didn't happen, it kind of sabotaged goal number 5, which was to finish my first draft of Project Fire by September 24th. And then I also wanted to start brainstorming for a different idea that I had in the last few weeks of September. That didn't happen, obviously. I'm still only halfway through Project Fire, but that being said, I think out of all of the quarters so far, this has been my most successful in terms of the goals that I set actually kind of working out. I think part of the thing that I'm also learning throughout all of this is some of my quarterly goals I have unintentionally created so that they build off of each other. Like I was saying about how because I didn't reach my August word count goal of 30,000 words, it just automatically made me fail my 5th goal of trying to finish the book by September 24th. I think this is partially because books are so long that I like to break them down into more medium-sized chunks and then to small-sized chunks, and the problem is you can't get the full thing without each one of those things landing. And so I'm struggling with how to actually create goals that don't necessarily interlock with each other, but also that help me break down the huge length of a novel into smaller pieces. So if you have any like suggestions on that, definitely let me know. I think switching to a more generalized maybe word count goal would help me, so not necessarily project specific or finishing the book on X date specific. I can still have those like deadlines in my head, but maybe switching to something that's more like write 7,000 words a week or X amount of words this month, then that can help me do some of that. I don't know. Let me know if you have any suggestions, because I definitely need some help in that realm. So where am I on Project Fire? Okay, at the beginning of September, I reached the midpoint of the story, which puts me at 39,166 words for the draft as a whole. This is my like zero draft of the book, so it's sloppy, it's messy. There's some gaps that are still missing in between of stuff that I wasn't quite sure how to play out, so I just kind of left things in brackets, but this is my process, so we're okay with it. I did decide though that there's enough things that I already know I want to change about the beginning that I decided that I would go back and revise the first half before continuing on. But before that, I want to take my mind off of Project Fire for a little bit and switch over back to Project Shadows, which has been exciting because I have been working on that. Instead of working towards that final 5th goal or catching up from where I stumbled in August, I decided to spend the rest of September kind of chipping away at finishing my revision of Project Shadows. So as of the day that I'm filming this, which is September 29th actually, I currently have 83,300 words in Project Shadows. I am fully finished with the revision of Acts 1 and 2. So for me, that's chapters 1 through 30. And then I have Act 3, which is chapters 31 through 39 that I'm currently working on finishing up right now. Because my Act 3 has changed completely from what my zero draft was, I'm basically drafting Act 3 right now, and then I'm gonna go back and do a quick revision pass on it before I send it off to people to read. I do, however, have the first 3/4 of the book sent off already. It is in the hands of people who are reading it and giving me feedback, and it feels weird. So when I finished Act 3, I will just add that to the document that they have on Google Drive. But that's another thing that I worked on in September, is kind of making these beta reader forms for them to fill out and researching that a little bit. I basically just ended up stealing all of the questions from Lindsay Puckett's video about beta reading and the forms that she used, because the questions were just so good that I had to use them. Nothing else really resonated with what I wanted to know about how people felt about my draft like her video did, so I will leave that linked down below. If you are in that process yourself, definitely go check that out, because that was by far the most helpful resource that I could find about preparing for beta readers. And then the last thing I have been working on at the end of quarter 3 that wasn't in my plans is we're planning some stuff with YouTube, but I will discuss some of that in my plans for quarter 4, which brings me to my plans for quarter 4. So here is where we kind of marry the looking back, evaluating where I didn't succeed and where I did succeed, with what I want to accomplish in the next quarter, aka the last quarter. Holy cow. So here are my goals for quarter 4. Number 1, I would like to participate in NaNoWriMo. I'd like to win, but I'm not gonna hold myself to that. As long as I write every weekday minus the days around Thanksgiving, I'm gonna be satisfied with that. That's what I did last year, and I nearly got it. I think I got to like 46,000. We might be able to this year. The problem is I don't actually know what I'm gonna be working on yet, but you know, that's what Preptober is for. We'll figure that part out. My second goal for quarter 2 is to revise the first half of Project Fire. I want to get all of that settled, get those story elements in place so that I can continue writing it. I'm not going to hold myself to finishing the draft as a whole because November and December, you know, they're holiday months. Everyone's always got a lot of stuff going on, and I feel like the general vibe, especially in December, is very much like, okay, let's take a breath, let's relax a little bit, let's spend some time with family. And so I don't want to be like a workaholic during that time either. My third goal for quarter 4, we might be doing this, is to prepare Project Shadows to enter into author-mentor match. I kind of have talked about before how I wanted my focus to shift onto Project Fire because it feels like the better book to query with than Project Shadows does, but Project Shadows, I don't want to just leave it on the shelf. I do want it published and I do want it to be a good book, and if it was my debut, I'd be totally okay with that too. So in my mind, I'm like, alright, I have this book, which I've fully revised once, or almost done that. Why would I just not do anything with that yet? So basically what I'm thinking is I'm going to collect the feedback that I'm getting from my beta readers, do an in-depth, you know, analysis of what needs to change, make my notes, do all that sort of stuff, and then go for a draft 2 in preparation for author-mentor match. I think this goal is one of my most iffies because it kind of depends on what feedback my beta readers give me with how much needs to change. And also it'll depend on where I'm at after Nano as well. So this is kind of like a maybe goal. We'll see. I'd like to do it, but also it depends on a lot of other things, so I'm not going to be like upset if I can't finish a draft 2. And then my fourth goal is my YouTube goal. I would like to, in October and November, post 2 videos a week. So for the past year, I've been posting videos every Thursday with a few weeks that I've skipped. I would like to try new things and do that twice a week now. Obviously in November, one of those videos is going to be my weekly vlogs for NaNoWriMo, but I have some like, I don't know, stuff in mind, and I feel like this is a good time to do that. So 2 videos a week, cool. There you go, gift from me to you. All of that being said, I want to bring those goals back to my why of 2021. So at the beginning of the year, I talked about how I want this year to be about foundations. I wanted to create healthy habits this year and grow as an author and on AuthorTube. And even though I think that a lot of my quarterly goals haven't exactly turned out how I wanted them to, I think I've definitely succeeded at what I wanted this year to be about. I've learned so much about my writing process this year. I've pushed myself further than I've ever been. I mean, any extra thing you do is pushing yourself further than you've ever been. And so with what I have got done this year, I feel very satisfied with that. Like I said, with that win in July's Camp Nano, that win to me was kind of a signifier like, okay, you're getting this. You're understanding how to be realistic with yourself and also do the things that you want and need to do for this to be successful. So to me, those goals that I was setting in like quarter 1 and quarter 2 weren't necessarily failures. The setting of those goals was part of the trial and error of getting to that foundational year that I wanted to have. And I think that that has definitely brought me there so far. We got one more quarter to try it out. Maybe this quarter will be the quarter where I actually succeed on all my goals. We'll see. But I'm excited to jump into these last few months of the year. I have said it like 5 times during this video already, but I cannot believe this year is almost over. Let me know down below what sort of goals you have reached recently so we can celebrate together, or what sort of stuff are you planning to do in the end of the year? That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!